For 37 years, Uranus fooled almost everyone. Out there, near the edge of the solar system, it looked like nothing more than a calm, pale blue marble drifting silently through space. Smooth, quiet, empty. For decades, we treated it like the boring planet, the strange blue world nobody was in a hurry to visit. But then the James Webb Space Telescope turned its eye toward Uranus, not in ordinary visible light, but in infrared, a kind of light human eyes can't see. And suddenly, that peaceful blue mask disappeared. What Webb revealed was not a dead world. It was something far stranger. The last time a spacecraft saw Uranus up close was in January 1986, when Voyager 2 swept past the planet, flying within roughly 50,000 miles of its cloud tops before continuing deeper into space. The images it sent back showed what looked like a featureless sphere. No dramatic storms, no obvious cloud bands, no violent weather, no real personality at all. For an entire generation, that bland image became the story of Uranus. But Webb has now rewritten that story. The old Voyager pictures were not showing us a calm planet. They were showing us a planet hiding behind the limits of our technology. Uranus was never quiet. We simply didn't have the eyes to see what was really happening. To understand why this world is so strange, we have to go all the way back to the night it was discovered. The year was 1781. William Herschel, a musician turned astronomer, was scanning the sky from his backyard in England with a homemade telescope when he noticed something that did not behave like a normal star. At first, he thought it was a comet, but it wasn't. It was a planet. Uranus became the first planet in human history discovered with a telescope. Every planet known before, it had been visible to ancient people with the naked eye. Uranus was different. It had to be searched for. It had to be forced into view. And in a way, that has always been the nature of this planet. It only gives up its secrets when something powerful enough looks closely. And the first secret is the one that almost breaks your imagination. Uranus is lying on its side. Most planets spin more or less upright, like a top spinning on a table. Earth is tilted about 23 degrees, which gives us our seasons. But Uranus is tilted almost 98 degrees. It does not spin like a normal planet. It rolls. Picture a bowling ball rolling down a lane instead of a spinning top, and you begin to understand what Uranus is doing. At some point in its ancient past, something enormous likely struck this planet with enough force to knock it completely sideways. And Uranus never recovered. That one violent event changed everything. Because when a planet lies on its side, its poles do not behave like the poles of Earth. One pole can point almost directly toward the sun for decades, while the opposite pole is trapped in darkness. Uranus takes 84 Earth years to orbit the sun, meaning one season can last around 21 years. Imagine that. No sunrise, no sunset. Just a faint sun hanging in the same part of the sky for 2 decades. On the other side of the planet, there is the opposite nightmare. 21 years of darkness, a winter with no morning. If you were born in the wrong hemisphere at the wrong time, you could live an entire human life without ever seeing the sun rise. And even that sun would barely help. Uranus is about 1.8 billion miles from the Sunday sunlight. There is roughly 400 times weaker than what we feel on Earth. Noon on Uranus would not feel like noon at all. It would be more like the dim light just after sunset. This is a planet living in permanent twilight. Then comes the cold. Uranus is not the farthest planet from the sun, but it is the coldest planet in the solar system. Neptune is farther away, yet Neptune is warmer. That mystery has bothered scientists for years. The upper atmosphere of Uranus can drop to around minus 371 degrees Fahrenheit. That is a level of cold so extreme that ordinary language almost fails. It is not just colder than Antarctica. It is colder by such an enormous margin that Earth's worst cold would seem almost gentle in comparison. One leading idea goes back to that ancient collision. The same impact that knocked Uranus onto its side may have also disrupted its internal heat. Neptune still radiates a strong amount of heat from within. Uranus barely does. It is as if the planet's inner furnace was damaged billions of years ago, leaving it to freeze slowly in the dark. But the cold is not the only horror. The air itself is hostile. In 2018, astronomers discovered that the upper clouds of Uranus contain hydrogen sulfide, the gas responsible for the smell of rotten eggs. So, if a person could somehow descend into the cloud tops of Uranus, the first thing they might notice, before the cold and suffocation took over, would be the stench of rot. That is what makes Uranus so brutal. It would not kill you in one way. It would kill you in several ways at once. The freezing cold, the crushing atmosphere, the poisonous gases, and the smell would simply be the final insult. But the most disturbing secrets are not above the clouds. They are beneath them. When James Webb looked at Uranus, it did not see the same smooth blue ball Voyager saw. Webb used infrared light, which reveals heat, structure, and hidden activity. In that light, Uranus suddenly looked alive. The planet showed clear structure. It had motion. It had weather. Webb revealed a bright polar cap over the North Pole, a massive hood of haze that had not been visible in the old images. At the center of that cap was a bright spot, the heart of a huge, swirling vortex. JWST, a planet once dismissed as dead and featureless, was actually carrying weather systems we simply could not see before. And the timing matters. Uranus is moving toward its 2028 solstice, when its north pole points most directly toward the Sunday. As that pole receives more sunlight, the polar cap is changing, brightening, and evolving. For the first time, scientists are watching seasonal change unfold on a world where a single season lasts longer than many human careers. Then there are the rings. Most people know Saturn has rings. Far fewer people realize Uranus has them too. But the rings of Uranus are not bright and glorious like Saturn's. They are dark, thin, faint, and made of nearly black material. They are difficult to see, almost like shadows circling the planet. Voyager detected them. Later, powerful telescopes on Earth saw them again. But Webb captured them with stunning clarity, including the faint and elusive Zeta ring. And because Uranus is tilted on its side, its rings are tilted too. They do not look like a belt around the planet's waist. They stand almost vertically, like a giant target around a world rolling through darkness. It is one of the strangest and most unsettling images in the solar system. A planet does not simply tip itself over. Something did that. The rings are like fingerprints left behind by an ancient act of violence. Webb also revealed more of Uranus's moons. Today, Uranus is known to have 29 moons, and that number increased because of Webb. In early 2025, scientists studying Webb's images identified a tiny moon only about 6 miles across, hiding close to the rings. Voyager 2 flew past Uranus in 1986 and still missed it completely. That means a moon had been hiding in plain sight for nearly the entire space age. The moons of Uranus are unusual too. Unlike many moons in the solar system, they are not named after gods. They are named after characters from Shakespeare and Alexander Pope: Titania, Oberon, Miranda, Ariel, Umbriel, Puck, a frozen literary court orbiting a sideways king in the dark. And one of those moons, Miranda, may hold one of the most terrifying landscapes in the solar system. Miranda is small, less than 300 miles wide, but on its surface is a cliff called Verona Rupes. It may be the tallest cliff known anywhere in the solar system, dropping roughly 12 miles straight down. That is more than twice the height of Mount Everest. But Miranda's gravity is weak. If you stepped off that cliff, you would not fall like you would on Earth. You would drift downward slowly, almost gently, for around 10 minutes before reaching the bottom. 10 minutes falling in darkness. No air, no sound, no scream, just silence. But why does all of this matter beyond the beauty and terror of the images? Because Uranus may tell us something much bigger about the universe. When astronomers study planets around other stars, many of the most common worlds they find are not like Earth and not like Jupiter. They are closer in size and nature to Uranus and Neptune. Cold, hazy, strange worlds somewhere between rocky planets and gas giants. That means Uranus may not be the oddball. It may be one of the best nearby examples of one of the most common types of planets in the galaxy. Maybe Earth is the rare exception. And then we go deeper. Uranus has no solid surface you could stand on. If a spacecraft tried to enter it, it would not hit ground. It would sink. The atmosphere would become thicker and thicker. The pressure would rise with every mile until the craft was crushed. There is no surface, no shore, no bottom in any familiar sense. Just layers of gas and fluid becoming denser and more violent the deeper you go. Far below the clouds is the mantle, and what scientists believe exists there sounds almost impossible. Much of Uranus may be made of a vast, hot, dense ocean, not an ocean like Earth's, but a crushing fluid made of water, ammonia, and methane under extreme pressure. It is an ocean without waves, without beaches, without light, wrapping around the planet's core. And deep inside that ocean, scientists believe it may rain diamonds. Methane contains carbon. Under the right heat and pressure, carbon can crystallize into diamond. Deep inside Uranus, those conditions may exist. Diamonds could form, become heavy, and sink downward through the planet's interior, falling through thousands of miles of dense fluid toward the core. Laboratory experiments have recreated similar processes using powerful lasers, producing tiny diamonds under extreme shock conditions. So somewhere inside this frozen, rotten, sideways planet, there may be a silent storm of diamonds falling forever into darkness. That is the contradiction of Uranus. A diamond storm inside a frozen hell. A calm blue face hiding violent weather. A planet that looks peaceful from far away, but may be broken from the inside out. And perhaps the strangest clue is its magnetic field. On Earth, the magnetic field is roughly aligned with the planet's spin. It behaves like a giant bar magnet running through the world. Uranus is different. Its magnetic field is tilted nearly 60 degrees away from its spin axis, and it is also shifted off-center. It is not clean. It is not balanced. It wobbles as the planet rolls. Voyager's readings were so strange that scientists spent years trying to understand them. A planet's magnetic field should be one of its most orderly features, a sign of structure deep inside. But Uranus does not have that kind of order. Its chaos seems to reach all the way down. Whatever struck this planet may not have only tipped it over. It may have scrambled it internally, leaving behind a world that still has not found its balance after billions of years. And the most shocking part is this. For all of that, the rings, the storms, the frozen atmosphere, the rotten egg clouds, the possible diamond rain, the broken magnetic field, and the 29 moons, humanity has sent only one spacecraft to study Uranus up close. 1. Voyager 2 passed by nearly 4 decades ago, and since then, our close-up knowledge of one of the strangest planets in the solar system has remained frozen in time. That may finally change. A dedicated Uranus mission with an orbiter and atmospheric probe has been ranked as a top priority for future planetary exploration. But even if such a mission launches, it would take more than a decade just to arrive. That is the cost of reaching a planet this distant, this strange, and this long ignored. So, step back and look at the full picture. Uranus is a world rolling sideways through permanent twilight. It is the coldest planet in the solar system. Its air reeks of rot and would suffocate and freeze anything trying to breathe it. It has dark rings standing around it like a target. It has moons with cliffs so tall you could fall for 10 minutes. It may contain a bottomless ocean where diamonds rain into the dark. Its magnetic field is tilted, off-center, and chaotic. For 37 years, we looked at that blue marble and called it boring. We were wrong. It was never boring. It was just out of focus. And when Webb finally looked closely enough, the disguise fell away. Uranus was revealed not as a dull planet, but as a wounded, hostile, magnificent world hiding in plain sight at the edge of everything. That may be the most unsettling lesson of all. Sometimes the universe does not hide its monsters in deep darkness. Sometimes it places one right in front of us, paints it a calm shade of blue, and waits for us to stop laughing long enough to look closer. And one day, when we finally send a machine back to Uranus, something built to orbit it, study it, and fall into that frozen, rotten, diamond-filled dark, we may discover that this planet still has secrets left, the kind that stay with you long after you hear them.